Hi, everybody. I'm Dave.
And I'm John.
And this is the Coffee and Capes podcast, where we are a couple of enthusiasts who enjoy coffee and love talking about geek culture.
It's true. We really do. All the time. I say that every opening.
Well, that's because it continues to be true every time.
It does. I don't think it's ever going to change. I don't think it'll ever.
I don't expect it to, no.
Yeah,
it
no,
hasn't
not at
changed
all.
in 40 whatever years. It's probably not going to.
Yeah,
change
no.
anytime soon.
Oh, we're getting close to that 50 mark, though.
Well, one of us already passed it.
Nicely done, sir. Nicely done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're not here to hear about our age.
No.
But you have found us in some form or another because you're listening to this. But, you know, promotion is a thing. So, John, tell the people where they can find us and connect with us.
Yeah. So if you guys are watching us, obviously you found us on YouTube, right? Bye. So we're on YouTube. We are on Spotify. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts. We're all over the interwebs. So you can find us there. If you want to follow us on social media, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, which we don't use much. We're most active on Facebook and Instagram, obviously. And if you follow us on there, we just post things about geek culture. So check us out, leave comments, leave reviews, guys. If you listen to us and you leave a review, we'll start reading reviews of people who leave them, as long as they're nice.
No, we'll read whatever.
But
we tell us we're idiots. You wouldn't be the first person.
No, and you won't be the last. But like, please leave reviews. It's how we know like what you guys are enjoying and what you'd like to hear more of, what you'd like to hear less of. Unless it's us, then we're just not going to stop. But you could stop listening to us, and it would be heartbreaking, and we'd be sad.
You don't want to break our hearts, do you?
No. And if you want to send us an email, you can send us an email at supers@coffee_capes.com. That's kind of where we're at.
Awesome. I'm so glad you keep all of that in your head and can just rattle all off, because I cannot.
I'm amazed there's room in my head. I do want to give a little bit of a shout out. We actually have a couple listeners overseas that listen to us on a regular basis. So one in Ireland and one in Belgium. So thanks for listening to us overseas. Hope you're enjoying it. And we appreciate everybody who listens to us. Thanks everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Dave, as is in the name and is appropriate to discuss, what coffee are you drinking today?
What coffee are we drinking? I heard from my nephew that he stopped listening partway through an episode because we spent too much time on the coffee. I'm like, sorry, bud. That's just part of the deal, man. That's how it goes. I am enjoying from Costco the organic Mayan blend.
Ooh.
And I don't have the bag, but I have some info to share about the organic Mayan blend. It's pretty great. They write, "We operate with the purpose of eliminating systemic poverty in Latin America through the responsible trade of artisanal organic foods. By engaging directly with farmers in their communities, we provide you with a specially graded coffees at a value while creating long-term sustainable growth for our farmer friends." So get a smooth, fresh, flavorful coffee, and I'm enjoying it actually.
Nice.
Quite a bit. Yeah.
I am drinking another delivery from Trade Coffee. This one comes from a company called Doma. You can't really see it. There you go. Yeah. Doma Roasting Company. This is Marco's Organic Blend. Has brown sugar, chocolate, and cedar. It says big, rich aroma and dark character. The full flavor punches nicely through milk and sugar. It's true. I am a creamer in my coffee kind of guy, and coffee bombs. I know we disagree on it greatly, but that's okay. That's what makes the world go round.
It does.
Yeah. So it's delicious. I really enjoy it. I'm trying to see where they're out of, but I don't see. Oh, Post Falls, Idaho. They say roasting quality coffee, practicing handcrafted sustainability, listening to vinyl, and keeping it cool, old school since 2000. So
Nice.
there you go. Doma Coffee Roasting Company.
Sweet. Let me quickly add the organic mind blend is a blend of 3 coffees that creates a beautifully balanced cup with chocolate undertones and a sweet, smooth finish. And
Nice.
I'd say it's the talkie. If there's chocolate there, it's very much in the undertone, which I appreciate. I don't want it to be like super chocolatey because I want coffee, not hot chocolate.
Yeah,
but
it's nice to have it as an undertone.
Yeah.
And then of course, like thanks to Nicole and Sarah at Lady Provisions, as always, their coffee bombs are phenomenal and great in the coffee in the morning to help kind of wake everything up and get you going.
If we were old and into dad jokes, we might say that their coffee bombs are the bomb. But we're not, so we won't make stupid cheesy jokes like that.
No, you'll never hear cheesy dad jokes here. All right, Dave, what's our topic today?
Strongest there is.
Yeah. And so explain, what are we?
Yeah.
What is that?
So last week we talked about a wide variety of geek culture that, we tend to focus on comics, Marvel, DC, and movies, some Star Wars. We thought maybe we'd try to look across, not genres, but across universes, if you will, and see if we can come up with who's the strongest out there. And there's some obvious choices, but I think maybe there's some not so obvious choices that could be kind of fun. So we will we would have a wrestling match to determine this, but we're on different parts of we're like 1,000 miles apart. So we're not doing that. And also you're stronger and you would win. So we're not doing that.
I don't know, man. I think I'm falling apart. And I think, it's I like this topic because it gives us the ability to kind of build on last week a little bit in crossing, genres and taking a look at, and there's going to be some, I think some ridiculous examples. And this is a debate in geek culture that has been going on for decades,
forever. And that's part of the fun, right? That it's just silly and frankly pretty meaningless. And
it's absolutely really it's just ridiculous. But I think maybe we just tackle it by like going through some of the obvious choices first. And I think let's talk about the one that everybody has heard say strongest there is so many times, right? The Hulk.
Yes.
Over and over and over again, the Hulk has always been billed as like the strongest there is. But there are moments where he's not.
Correct.
Right? Moments that he's not. So what's your take on the Hulk's claim to be the strongest there is?
I would say he's probably got the highest upside potential. If we use like draft pick language, right? Like,
sure.
There would appear to be no limit to the strength with which he is capable, or of which he is capable.
It's portrayed that way.
Yeah.
Right. There has to be some level of belief. Like, you remember when the Illuminati and Marvel shot him into space, which led to the whole like Planet Hulk and World War Hulk.
Right.
Right. That was done because they believed that he was too strong to exist on Earth.
Yeah.
But I think it's an interesting, so this is a fun argument because we can tackle it from pure physical strength.
Yeah.
Right. Pure physical strength. Is there any one across any of the universes that can match the Hulk when you talk about upside?
I mean, pure physical strength, I think probably the only possibilities to be in that kind of category are Superman, maybe Wonder Woman. I
got to say no to that one. Okay. Like, she's strong. She's ridiculously strong, right?
Yeah.
And there have been moments where she kind of went toe to toe with Superman for a brief period of time, but she's not as like she's not in the same.
Yeah.
I don't see her on that same strength level.
Right. I mean, it's I've said multiple times on this podcast that Thor is my favorite, so I would want to put Thor up there. I don't know if you take the hammer away, if you take like the God powers right now, like the current comic version, if you take the Odin force, like he's king of Asgard, if you take all that away and it's just physical strength on physical strength, I don't know that he's in that category.
Yeah, and so again, we're just taking, if we take physical strength, Superman, I gotta,
Yeah.
and we have to bring him into the conversation, right? He has the interesting thing when we talk about upside in the conversation around the Hulk, we have rarely ever seen Superman's full upside exhibited in comics and in movies either. And there have been hints that there is like no limit, right? There's just nothing, like, unless you hit him with kryptonite or a red sun, right? Or like were to put him in a state of incredible grief with the loss of like Lois Lane, but that led to Injustice, right? Where he
arguably is arguably the most uninhibited he's used his powers,
right? And he's just unstoppable.
Yeah,
like he lifted Atlantis, right? No, that was
no,
Green
didn't
Lantern.
he sent like Wonder Woman and
They
didn't he
pulled
send some people
Atlantis out of the water in Injustice.
Okay.
That much I remember. And
I thought he sent some people to do that.
Yeah, they brought it out and put Aquaman in an odd position. Anyway, and so I think, he has to be in the conversation, and you look at them both as like, have either one of them really exhibited like the full level of their strength at any point in time? Like maybe little hints and glimpses. Everybody else in those universes clearly knows, right? Hey, except for Thor, to your point, like Thor like has no doubt, like his confidence.
Yeah, his confidence is way up there.
Yeah. I wonder if, so we've seen increasing power levels from Carol Danvers.
She's on my list. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. We've seen increasing levels for her. So like on a strength side though, like physical strength.
Yeah.
Is she in that category? I don't know. I think she's
as much as I don't want to say so. I would have to say no, that she and Thor, physical strength wise, are not. Like anytime we've seen Thor, we see Thor and Hulk fight from time to time. Sometimes Avengers just playing around, sometimes for real.
Right.
And Thor gets an upper hand with his hammer and with his powers.
Right.
Not with just physical strength. And I think you did to say the same with Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. Like she could get ahead with some blasts of some kind, but not just physical strength.
Right. Yeah. I think if it's just physical strength, I don't think so. I think too, like you have to take a look at like which version of the Hulk are we talking about? Right. Because there's multiple versions of the Hulk. There's, there's Gray Hulk, which is, I think, more along lines of what we saw the last version of the Hulk in Avengers was, right? Which is that because the Gray Hulk had more awareness, let's say, than like Green Hulk. Immortal Hulk, totally different ballgame.
Yeah, Immortal Hulk is, I don't know if Immortal Hulk's is stronger just because he can't die.
Right. He can't die. I still think that the version they shot into space, right?
Yeah.
Like hands down, like the strongest. You have the Ultimates version, which eats people.
Right.
We've discussed. He's a very mad man.
Yeah. And I guess here's the thing, like we're talking about who's the strongest. Both Hulk and Superman have been defeated.
Sure.
But I suppose that's not necessarily because they weren't strong enough, just because there were a combination of factors that could
Right.
stop them for a little bit. Also, we were talking about Hulk, Red Hulk or She-Hulk, who now in the comics just goes by Hulk and is much bigger and stronger than she has been.
Yeah.
Are
I don't think that they're as strong as the original, though.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Right. Red Hulk, definitely not. Right.
Yeah.
And She-Hulk, yes, she's definitely like leveled up in her strength and her power. She's become much more Hulk-like.
Yeah.
But I think the original, like Bruce Banner Hulk, right? I just think that he's the, when you think of all the Hulks, there's a lot of them. He is that top.
And the other Gamma created like people, strong people, Doc Samson or
Right.
Abomination, or I'm sure I'm missing some. Like they're similar, but I would still say Hulk is stronger than all of them.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree. So when we're talking about Hulk, that's who we're referring to.
Now, I wasn't going to get into this yet, but what about villains? Do we need to compare some of the bigger, stronger villains to these guys?
Sure, of course. Of course, we're talking about like these guys. So
like where does say Darkseid or Thanos, yeah, or Galactus or Trigon, where do these guys fit in?
So I feel like, okay, like Thanos and Darkseid, right, have to be included in the conversation. Each one of them has, like, at some point in comic lore and movies, what have you, has defeated essentially everybody.
Yeah.
Right. Wiped the floor with everyone. I think Trigon and Galactus, they're either like a cosmic power or like a demon. And to me, like, that's
sort of a different category.
Yeah, it feels like a different category. It doesn't feel like,
they don't necessarily engage in a lot of physical combat.
Right, exactly.
Feats of strength. They're just literally large and
and
kind of exist on another level.
Powerful. Yeah, ridiculously powerful.
Yeah.
So I think we can include like Thanos and Darkseid into those conversations. Thanos, we watched beat up the Hulk in Endgame.
Yeah.
Right. Thoroughly beat him up to the point where like Hulk wouldn't come out. So that was, and in numerous timelines, Thanos wins.
Yeah.
Like in the comics, there's tons of examples, but there's also in Old Man Logan and Old Man Hawkeye and that whole series of books that they did. We had Maestro, which is like Bruce Banner's Hulk, like reaching essentially like his pinnacle of like, I'm now Hulk, like super powerful, ridiculously strong Hulk with Banner's brain. Perfectly
combination. Yeah.
Perfectly aligned. I think that's probably like the scariest version of Hulk.
What about Superman?
You can't have the conversation without bringing up the Boy Scout.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's so many examples. There's some way over the top ones. Like, let's go to the Christopher Reeves movie, the very first one.
Yeah.
How he saves the world. Flies around it backwards really fast and somehow manages to manipulate time that way.
Yeah. Like you do.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, there's a million. Hey, if the flux capacitor in a DeLorean can manipulate time, Superman flying backwards around the planet can do it too.
For sure.
But he is, again, one of those examples of like kind of restrained with a lot of upside until he gets like almost angry. Right.
Oh my gosh. I just thought of this. I had some notes ahead of time that I was thinking about. I just thought of this. Because when I think unrestrained Superman, who just sprang to mind was Omni-Man from Invincible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. great comic, amazing animated show
Yes.
on Amazon.
Yes.
With who's the voice actor is
The guy who does J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Simmons, J.K.
Simmons. Yeah, Simmons. He does such a great job as the voice of Omni-Man. And
right? But isn't that guy basically Superman, but
bad?
Kind of bad? Yeah.
Without like any restraints. Yeah, he kills the essentially like what is that universe's version of the Justice League.
Yeah.
He literally murders them.
Yeah.
With ease.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah,
relatively speaking. Beats up his own son.
Yeah.
Right. And then goes off planet.
Tears that dude in half.
Yes, tears a guy in half. So Omni-Man definitely like
got to be in the conversation, I think, up there with Hulk and Superman.
For sure. Yeah, I think from a physical strength side of things, the interesting thing about Omni-Man compared to like Superman, so Superman acts like a solar battery. Like we've all learned that, right?
Yes.
Omni-Man just appears to come from a planet full of people who just turns out are stronger than everybody else in the universe.
Yeah.
Which is terrifying.
Yes, I don't know how you oppose such a force.
You have an offspring that fights back.
I guess
that seems to be a tenet through a lot of stories.
Yeah, actually. That's true.
Yeah, you just end up being defeated by your own offspring or some relative that speaking of like super powerful that has an offspring that takes him down. Vader, right?
Yes.
And again, like, and a lot of it was due to cinematic ability, right? We never really saw how bad of a man or, Sith Vader was, because in the original trilogy, we see him, right? And he was like scary, but there was never a point where I felt like you saw a full example of his power, right?
Right. It was the old adage of you're supposed to show, not tell, and just the capabilities at the time where they could tell us he was scary, but they couldn't really show us until
Rogue One.
Oh,
one of the greatest one of the greatest scenes in Star Wars history, and easily the greatest Darth Vader scene in the history of Star Wars, in my opinion.
No doubt, 100%.
Yeah,
I don't know how anybody could argue anything else.
No, and there's I don't know if you've ever read much of the books and the canon that goes along with that, but there are in the comic books. One of my favorite comic book scenes with Vader is an entire like battalion of rebels and an entire squadron of X-Wings go after him, and he just pulls X-Wings out of the sky, like
deflects all the laser blasts, all the whatever. Yeah. Oh,
just destroys everything.
Yeah, so good. I know there have been a multitude of Darth Vader comics in the last few years, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever it is. There was one storyline that sounds like what you were talking about. I think it was called Vader Down. That was
I know what you're talking about.
That showed that type of scene. I don't know if it's the same one you're thinking of, but that kind of scene where just a whole squadron or whatever comes after him, and he just wipes the floor with them. It's one dude with a lightsaber against spaceships.
Yeah,
and they can't just touch him.
No, he just completely wipes the floor with them. It's those kinds of things and those stories that really open up like the power level that he is truly like wielding.
Yes.
Right. Which is also what, leads to like the storylines around Luke in terms of power levels. Like Luke is supposed to, in his later years, which we haven't really seen on screen outside of like the last trilogy, but we got a Luke version of the Vader scene in Mandalorian.
Right.
Where he like essentially just wipes the floor with those death droids. I don't remember exactly what they're called.
Yeah, whatever.
But I mean, these super like terrifying, scary like droids, and he just like crushes one like a tin can using the Force. That was pretty awesome.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it's still not, to me, not quite as on the level as impressive as taking on spaceships, but
yeah,
it's really good.
Yeah, and so now comes to like, okay, we have lots more to like. There's so many more like that are there, but an interesting question just came up, right? Because now we're talking about like physical strength versus like a power set.
Yeah.
Right. So we look at like, and granted, okay, Superman, Omni-Man, they can fly, shoot lasers out of their eyes, right? There's those kinds of things. Hulk can jump. I don't know if Omni-Man does, but Superman does.
Yeah.
He's got his heat vision and his ice breath.
Yeah.
With ice breath, that's got to be refreshing that you never have like that gross taste in your mouth. Anyway, I digress. So
that's a superpower right there. That's like the best superpower right there.
Best superpower.
Never have bad breath.
He would have been the perfect spokesperson for like the ice crystals, like breath mints.
Yeah, right.
But so they do have some powers. Like Hulk is
just strength.
Just strength. He can jump super far, but he can't fly. Right. He's not gonna be able to do that. So he's just strength.
He could leap a building with a single bound, I think.
I believe he can cross states in a single bound. Pretty much. But so now it comes the interesting question, right? If you take Vader and put him up against any of those other guys, is he still as strong? Like, can you force choke, right?
Yeah, can you force choke Superman?
Yeah. Like, can you close his windpipe? I mean, he's shown he can crush and pull starships out of the sky.
Right. But does Superman need a windpipe? Does Superman breathe
through space?
Yeah. So does he really need to breathe? Even if you could force choke him like by crushing his windpipe or something, would it matter?
That's an interesting question, right? Can he move Superman using like force push? Like, could he move Superman and just send him flying in the other direction? Is his power level that high, or is Superman, like the immovable object if he wants to be?
Okay, so you know what that makes me think of? Here's an odd reach.
Yeah.
Why is Graviton not the strongest power set human being in the Marvel universe?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, that's one that you see, and it's such an obscure reference, right? By the way. Know.
But
like anybody that's
like immovable objects, if there's a dude who can control gravity, how is he ever?
The interesting thing is I think he falls into, so okay, when we're talking about super powerful, like super strong, what's the biggest hindrance to somebody's success that has an insane power set? Like their mental ability to be creative with their power set, right? I think Gravitron probably falls into, I don't have Gravitron, not smart. Gravitron strong, but Gravitron not all good with the things, right? Is where I kind of take that and I go, because there are times in the comics that I've seen him where you're like, this dude should like literally mop the floor with everybody.
Yeah.
He should.
Yes.
But it feels like the elevator's not going all the way to the top floor.
Fair enough.
And there's a lot of those kinds of characters within geek culture who should be insanely powerful. You're like, how is this guy not just crushing everybody? And then you're like, oh, I get it. He's not bright.
Yeah. Fatal flaw.
Right. And that's a significantly fatal flaw. Like when we talk about these characters, I think one of the things that gets passed up on Superman a lot is he's very smart. Like Batman's the detective.
Yeah.
Right. And Batman figures things out. But there are moments in their interactions with Superman and Batman where Superman has clearly figured something out that Batman's figuring out. And he gets like this little sly smile. Like you'll see it every now and then in the comics, because Superman can read anything in like the blink of an eye. He can look those things up, right? So I think that gets passed over. Also, like, how smart is Darth Vader, right? Is there a wisdom that comes along with having such a strong connection to the Force, even as a Sith? One of those things. I think what makes Thanos so terrifying is that he is also brilliant.
Yeah.
Right. Darkseid, like, he's evil. We can all agree with that. He's evil. He's that quiet evil. Probably doesn't want to talk because he's worried something dumb will come out of his mouth. I don't know that that's true at all.
I'm not sure we have evidence to support that claim, but that's okay. We're going with it.
It's our show.
Right. Exactly. Like, we're not being graded on this. Well, I guess we kind of are by the
Please remember to give this episode the Coffee and Capes rating system of overwhelmed, whelmed, or underwhelmed. Right. Overwhelmed, we did a great job. Whelmed it was just okay, and underwhelmed, we get it. You didn't like it. So, but Thanos is hyper intelligent. He's proven that over and over and over and over again.
Right.
Right. So, and that's the interesting thing with like the Hulk, is until he becomes Maestro, there are moments in Hulk's history where he has some of Banner's like smarts, but for the most part, those two personalities don't like each other.
Right.
Right. Hulk's insulted that Banner gets all the credit for being smart, right? Because he is. Now, Vader versus Hulk, though. Hulk has been shown to be susceptible to having his oxygen levels cut off.
Yeah, true. Yes.
Which causes him to pass out and revert to being Banner.
Yeah.
Now, granted, if Hulk gets hold of Vader,
I don't think Vader's got a chance.
I don't think so either. I think he's going to start pulling mechanical limbs off of him, and game over. And I don't think Vader can get that lightsaber through Hulk.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think, oh, man, that's a great question though. If like giant missiles can't penetrate Hulk's skin, can a lightsaber?
Yeah, I don't think so. Unless like there's something you know within the kyber crystal energy that is. But that's going down.
That was a hell of a reach right there. I'm impressed with that
rabbit hole. Thank you.
Right, I'm just still picturing Vader as the Black Knight from Monty Python. Like, after Hulk going, come back here. I'll bite your kneecaps off.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, somebody out there with amazing like computer graphic skills, please make a short like video of Vader as the Black Knight from Monty Python's Quest for the Holy Grail.
That would be like, so great.
Please make that happen. I can't believe nobody's done that yet.
Right?
It would be brilliant.
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant.
Yes. All right, if we're gonna talk power, if we're gonna bring power set into play, then I'm gonna put my guy Thor up there as, if not the pinnacle, he's
close.
He's close.
Like, I feel like he's gone toe to toe with everyone, even in the DC like Marvel crossovers. He went toe to toe with Superman. I don't think he actually won that though, to be honest. Like, but it all depends. Like, what was moving the story plot along, right? They're not really focused on like, is this how this would happen? Thor is. I agree. Like, I think Thor is one of those as well that doesn't use the full strength of everything that's available to him until it's absolutely 100% necessary. I also think that Thor is hindered a little bit by his confidence. I think
overconfidence.
His overconfidence, right?
Yeah.
He's been around for ages.
Yes.
You know, he's so much older than everybody that he interacts with. But at the same time, in terms of like age within his own people, like as Guardians, he still comes across as pretty young.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. In the comic King Thor, he basically outlives everybody and everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene where it's him and Logan, who's now like Wolverine Phoenix.
Yeah, I know that. I know exactly the issue
At
you're
the
talking
end of
about.
the time, at the end of time of the universe, it's Thor, Wolverine Phoenix, and Thor's 3 granddaughters.
Yes.
And Gore or whatever. Like,
yeah, Gore, they got butchered.
I love that storyline. That whole thing was great.
Yeah,
But,
Love and Thunder is gonna have Gore, played by Christian Bale.
Right. Yes. And we've talked a little bit about this before. I mean, Thor is very susceptible to being like way powered up, and then at other times convenient to the plot, like seems to just be kind of a dopey strong guy.
Yeah, right. I think that, and there's times that works, because I also think that Thor is meant to have more humor to him than like a lot of others.
Yes, for sure.
And it works really well. Like, thank God they let Chris Hemsworth like explore that side of Thor, because
100%.
Chris Hemsworth has such great comedic timing. And you know, Taika Waititi did such a great job with Ragnarok and making it humorous and engaging, and you know, but we saw little bits of that, right, with Hemsworth in Avengers, where you know he's adopted. But the Hulk Thor fight in the hangar was one of those that honestly looked like Thor was gonna take, because like he just kept bouncing. And so you had mentioned, I'm gonna back up, you had mentioned a few episodes ago when we were talking about like Wonder Woman's introduction in Batman versus Superman, that little smile when she got smacked by Doomsday, thank you. In the original Avengers movie, Thor gets the same thing when Hulk knocks him like through the hangar, like Hulk punches him and like is charging him, and he gets that smile as he's waiting for his hammer, and when he catches it, just launches this uppercut into the Hulk's face.
Yeah.
Right. And then again in Ragnarok, like they square off in the arena, and clearly Thor has the upper hand. Like,
right.
It just the way that it is. But again, there are also those moments where you're like, how did they get Dark Reign, right? What was the Siege?
Yes.
In the Siege, Osborn and some powered up guys from Red Hood like knock Thor down and like hurt him.
Yeah. Right. I know.
Like, huh?
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Yeah. It's like, I don't care what armor you put Norman Osborn in. And I don't care how much you power up like the Red Hood. The Hood. Yeah, the Hoods.
The Hood or Hood.
I don't know. Hood. Yeah, the Hoods guys. Like, you're not taking Thor down.
Right. The guy flew into the sun and took a little bath in the sun.
Yeah. He went into the sun to get Mjolnir.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So so that by the way, that right there puts him above like Vader.
Yes. Yeah.
Vader can't fly into the sun.
Right.
Not without coming back as essentially a Bic lighter. Like just melted down into the very smallest little piece of him and being like,
right.
You know.
Right.
Superman has managed to go into the sun.
Yeah, clearly it's
I don't think,
like you said, it's his battery.
Yeah. Hulk cannot fly in space with unassisted. I've never seen anything where he's ever been able to do that. Thor and Superman are able to. Omni-Man have been able to. So I think like there's, when you start adding in power sets, like that starts moving them above Hulk.
Yeah.
Because Hulk's going to have his limitation.
Right.
It's frustrating when they depower Thor immensely.
Yes.
You're like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Like they don't do that to Superman.
Yeah,
Unless
not really.
unless it's like there's a good reason, like,
Yeah.
hey, look, somebody hit him with kryptonite, or hey, there's a red sun ray, or
Or magic, right? The whole
or
magic thing.
right? A logical reason.
Yeah, well, a story reason. I don't know if it's always logical, but it's a story reason anyway.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So those are all the big hitters, if you will. Who are some other, maybe not vying for the pinnacle of strongest there is, but who are some others that are like in the top 10? So
I gotta go with my guy, like my favorite anime character, One Punch Man. One Punch Man is.
You brought him up last week.
I did, and I love this guy. He is like, first of all, it's funny.
Yeah.
Right. And I love humor. And
humor
anime
is good. Official Coffee and Capes podcast position on humor. We're in favor of it.
Humor good. Laughter good.
Yes.
Me speak well. But the fun thing about anime sometimes is it's just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right. And so to have this very unassuming character who trained himself to the position of being basically super fast, invulnerable, and able to take out anyone in one punch. Like, doesn't matter who comes after him. All he wants in the series is he really like wants to not be bored fighting supervillains anymore, because he's gotten to a point where he can beat them all with one punch. And he gets excited when he thinks that like he's found someone, and then he hits them once and they're gone. Like,
okay.
Ridiculous.
Is anybody, so having never seen it, is anybody ever able to parry his punch or block it, or in some ways? Does the punch ever not land? No. Okay.
No, he pretty much annihilates everybody in one punch.
Okay.
That's hence why it's called One Punch Man. Somebody out there
Not
may
subtle.
have seen something that I have not seen. And maybe that happens, but yeah, I don't think that he's the crossover of him into like some of these other characters, right? You put him up against like a Superman or a Thor. I don't know that, because he doesn't have other powers. You know, who knows? Plus it's a pretty insanely ridiculous like level that like power that he built himself to.
Yeah,
you got to watch it. It's funny. You'd love it. So there's that. Dave, what about you?
I was trying to think of some different ones. So we mentioned Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And my goodness, it seems like every iteration she's a little bit more powerful. Both in comics and certainly in the movies. I mean, she seems pretty damn unstoppable in the movie. Like, I don't even know why they need anybody else. Like, why she couldn't just take Thanos down the way she's literally taking down, I don't know what they're called, but Star Destroyers, basically.
Yeah, she took his ship apart.
Yeah.
She just flew through it like a little bumblebee.
Yeah.
And then headbutted Thanos.
Yes. Yeah.
Headbutted him. Everybody else had the floor wiped by Thanos. Like, Thanos took on Iron Man, Cap, and Thor.
Thor all at the same time. Cap hit him with his shield multiple times. Thor hit him they hit him with two different hammers. And it didn't do as much to him as Captain
Carol
Marvel's
Danvers
headbutt
did when she just cracked him, and his face was like,
yeah.
Uh-oh. Yeah, she's been. And in What If?
Yeah, she and Thor just punching each other across the dang planet.
So much fun to watch that.
That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun to watch that. That was one of those fun, like, you just see sometimes those fun fights. And maybe that's, that's the other thing we have to like come to terms with, is that sometimes there's going to be standstills, right? With like folks we're talking about, like they may just go to a standstill.
Yeah.
So you got Carol Danvers on the Marvel side. You touched on Wonder Woman earlier.
Yeah.
Right. She's got to be in the conversation. She's an example of like that, one of those people that has definitely gotten stronger as time has gone on.
For sure.
Right. Picked up some additional power sets.
Can fly.
Yeah, can fly. Well, thank God we're done with the invisible jet.
Yes, for sure. For
Yeah,
sure. Much
that
rather
was
have her fly than have to be a pilot.
there was I don't remember if it was an how it should have ended or something else where no, it was an old Seth MacFarlane skit where he drew like Wonder Woman flying in the invisible jet, and Superman catches up and goes, I can't help but notice when you got done using the invisible bathroom, you didn't wash your hands.
Gosh.
That's how, like, but that's to me
Yeah.
exactly how ridiculous the invisible jet was. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
No, 100%. But
Yeah.
I mean, she's super strong. Like I'm pretty sure we talked about before once that, in the storyline where one of the storylines where Batman's got his contingency plans for any of the Justice League that goes bad. What's the plan for Wonder Woman? It's Superman.
It's Superman. Yeah. Like that's it. That's your way that you're going to defeat Wonder Woman is you're going to bring in Superman. So what happens when Superman and Wonder Woman both point in the wrong direction together? DC's screwed. Injustice. Pretty much. That's what happens.
Basically. Right. It takes like 35 heroes to try to stop the two of them.
Yeah.
So, okay, while we're talking about DC, where does Captain Marvel, Shazam fit in?
Yeah, because he's the magic version of Superman. That's essentially how. So I believe that the history of that goes is that DC and another comic book company merged together, and the other comic book company had a Captain Marvel, right? Shazam.
Yeah.
And they were so similar that they had to do something about it. I don't remember how the story goes, but
okay. I'm pretty sure Marvel Comics sued DC to keep them from using the name Captain Marvel.
Probably. That sounds like something they'd go back and forth on.
Yeah. So now he's like Shazam, but
I think Shazam and Black Adam for that matter.
Oh, true.
Right? Because they're very similar. And Black Adam has gone toe to toe with Superman, and because he's magic, had been more effective in taking on Superman than anybody, in a lot of ways. I mean, you've got like Brainiac who does his thing his way, and Luthor, and everybody has their own way of going at Superman to deal with his strength levels. But Black Adam literally they punch each other.
Yeah.
Right. And he's able to do that because his strength and his power is derived from magic. What about anybody else outside of Marvel and DC? Like you talked about Omni-Man from this. Oh, how about Homelander from The Boys?
Good call. Yes. Yeah.
Right. Homelander from The Boys, which is essentially a misogynistic, racist, like just go down the line, like bad guy who gets to be a hero with it, and essentially has all of Superman's powers.
Right.
It's really a study in like what happened if Superman is a total douchebag.
Right. Yeah. And somehow he's worse. Homelander, I think, is worse than Omni-Man.
Yes.
Because Omni-Man maybe kind of sort of cares a little bit about his wife and definitely cares about his son. Doesn't keep him from hurting both of them, but but I think he's at least capable of caring about somebody other than himself.
Well, when he took off into space, I think was a good example of like the conflict that he was experiencing, similar to like when Vader wouldn't kill Luke, right? It's that I shouldn't care, but I do.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna just take off into space and go.
Yeah. Whereas Homelander, now granted, I did not get very far into season 2. I haven't seen much of season, and I've only read a couple of books maybe, but so I can't, I'm not here as Homelander expert, but from what I've seen, I can't tell that he cares about anybody but himself.
He doesn't. I mean, there's like in season 2, there's some areas where it seems like he does, but really it's all a manipulation at the end of the day, right? He's very selfish. He's very self-centered. Like he doesn't like, he wants all this adoration and all this like attention and love from everybody. And if they don't give it to him, well, he'll kill him. And it doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah,
He
right.
doesn't seem to have any kind of like positive emotional attachment to anybody that would stop him from essentially annihilating somebody.
Yeah.
Which actually, so that's pretty terrifying. There's also a character in, I think it's Mark Millar's kind of universe of comics and characters, is a guy called the Plutonian. In a comic book called, I don't think it's Irredeemable, it's Unforgivable. If you have Amazon like Kindle, if you have a subscription to it, there's a whole bunch of them that you can read. And the Plutonian there's some similarities, I think, with Highlander in terms of like what makes him eventually snap, but it's an
Homelander?
interesting, huh? Homelander?
Homelander?
Yeah.
You said Highlander.
Oh, Highlander. Well, there can only be one. So Plutonian is a very like Superman, Omni-Man, Homelander kind of character who starts out as like the central good guy on a team like Justice League, and then snaps. And when he snaps, just starts wiping everything and everyone out.
Yeah. Like, is that the you said Irredeemable? Is that the Irredeemable and what's the other one? Incorruptible?
Yes, Irredeemable and Incorruptible. Yep. Yeah. Incorruptible has it's the bad guy that turns good to combat.
It's a swap, right? Like the good guy goes bad and then the bad guy goes good to try to stop the good guy that goes bad. Yeah.
It's a like really well written.
Yeah.
Really well written. But yeah, Plutonian is essentially like Superman and all those other guys, like with no inhibitions. Like none.
So how do you stop a guy like that?
They try a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Like, and there's times where you're like, oh, good, they got him, and then no, they do not. And it would be interesting, like to that point, to see what happens if you pulled the like restraint away from like a Thor, or the restraint away from like Captain Marvel completely, because there's always that level of restraint, right?
Right. So if you put Plutonian, Omni-Man, Homelander, and Superman all in the same room, who's coming out?
I don't know. I like, honestly, I think that it's literally the same character, just written a bunch of different ways.
Right. So they would eternally be in battle.
I think so. I think that, I think the only thing that puts Superman either at an advantage or at a disadvantage, right? And you'd have to look at it in this way, is that the people that care for him that would come in and try and help. Now that can be an advantage, right? Because it means he has allies, or it puts him at a disadvantage because now he's worried about protecting them and will do anything to do so.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas like the rest of those guys, one of them eventually is going to be like, hey, you guys keep him busy. I'm going to go get Lois and Lane and we're going to end this.
Yeah. Right.
And come back with Lois and essentially be like, we'll kill her. Or you can put on this kryptonite necklace and climb into this red sun tanning bed. And we're going to shoot you into space.
Yeah.
Right. At which point he's going to back down. There is nothing you can use as leverage against those other three guys. Like, I just don't think, even Omni-Man, like, I don't think you could bring his son into it and be like, we're going to kill him, and be like, that's all right, I have a mission, I'm going to take you out.
Okay. So, let's just try something else. Not quite that power set, but where'd you put Doomsday? And then from the Marvel side, now here's a reach. If maybe not quite as far a reach as Graviton, but how about Gladiator from the Marvel universe, the Shi'ar Emperor
guy?
He is,
I think in the same kind of he's close to, I think, like those guys in terms of like power sets, and he's super strong. He seems
Yeah.
to be fairly invulnerable.
Yeah.
um he
I
has
think he can fly.
he can fly. He can fly through space. Like he's
Yeah.
able to fly through space. He's got lasers for eyes. He's been around forever.
Does he have
um
laser eyes?
I thought he did.
Okay, maybe.
I don't know. And then Doomsday is interesting because Doomsday is mindless,
Yeah.
right? As a creation, uh he's essentially just mindless and plows through things. And I would put Doomsday in the same category as Hulk. Like
Yeah.
those are the two that I would say like come closest together. I think Doomsday was DC's like Hulk attempt,
Hmm.
and just opted to do what Marvel didn't, which was make him a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to
fair.
shift. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
I was going to say I want to shift a little bit into like a couple characters from the Marvel side that I always feel like might be a little underpowered, but
Okay.
have I don't know that we've seen their full levels yet. So Colossus from the X-Men
Mm,
um has always been like the central strong guy for the X-Men.
sure.
And yet, because of his like soft, gentle, like kind of soul, has
Right.
never really had that like breakout moment of like, let me show you how powerful I really am. And he always lost to Juggernaut.
That's the one I just thought of when you said that. It was Juggernaut.
Yeah.
Juggernaut's got to be up there.
Mm-hmm. Right. But like, what really puts him up there?
I don't even really understand his power. Some sort of like connection to magic and or demon or something.
Yeah, he's got a connection to magic, and essentially it's that he can't be stopped when he gets like a head of steam. Like you're just like nothing can stop him. But what about when he doesn't have that head of steam? Yes, he's
Yeah.
strong, but
I,
how strong?
yeah. And again with no other power set, like, but he's big.
Yeah, he's
Big and
big.
he's strong, but I think he's on the level he's on that level with like I would say Shazam, maybe Thing,
Yeah, thing.
like
Yeah,
Colossus. I'd probably put Colossus there too. That they're kind of that next tier down
yeah,
to me.
yeah. I would agree. I would agree. I would put rogues in there too. When we
Well,
talk
sure,
about,
if she's got Captain Marvel powers, then yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
I mean, she's right there. We've seen her go like toe to toe with almost all the big boys at some point
Hmm.
in time,
Yeah.
right? And she's smart. Like she's smart. She understands. Like there's a lot that she's got going for her. A couple we haven't really talked about yet, but striking similarities, and I don't know where they land. Are Namor and Aquaman,
Oh,
right?
yes.
So they have that ability to survive like the bottom of the ocean, which
Yes.
supposedly gives them like strength and toughness and everything else.
Yeah.
But I think that's, to your point, like that tier below,
Yeah.
right? When we talk about like Superman, Thor, One Punch Man, like, even Vader might be a step below those guys
Yeah.
because of if you get your hands on him.
Yeah.
That's going to be the one that like bugs me, I think, for a while, is like how, like, because I feel like Vader from a distance can take anybody out that's susceptible to like being choked out. But
Yeah.
then once he chokes him out, can he finish the job? Does he have anything that can allow him to finish the job? And I don't think the answer is yes. Like, I don't know that lightsaber, like we talked about, can puncture the skin of like Hulk, Superman, Omni-Man,
Right.
any of those guys.
Right.
Right.
So back to the water guys, back to Namor and Aquaman. Are they underpowered? Like, imagine how tough you would have to be able to survive the depths of the ocean.
Oh yeah, I think your physiology alone, like you could be hit by anything and withstand it.
Right, which is one of my favorite moments in the Aquaman movie, right? When Aquaman gets shot at and the bullets bounce off of him. I don't know that we've seen that much
Right.
in other iterations, but it tracks.
Where he caught the explosive shell and it blew up and he's like, ow. Right. But he's fine. He
Yeah.
was okay. And
Yeah.
I agree. It totally tracks, right? Because you'd have to be insanely, I mean, they can push and you can get underneath of a sub and
Yeah.
swim and push the sub to the surface. Like, yeah,
Those guys
you're
are
like,
big time. Like, I think maybe both of them get a little short shrift. Like, we don't see the full extent of their what should be their strength based on what they can do in the water.
yeah, I agree with you on that. I agree with you there. I think that they're probably underrepresented,
Yeah.
right? It would
Which
be
then
interesting.
does that go to everybody? Anybody that seems to be an Atlantean, which is both versions, both DC and Marvel have Atlantis, and they all live down there. Now, for some reason, not all of them can also live on the surface, I don't think.
Right, because they're not hybrids like those guys are.
Yeah.
Remember, like both Namor and Arthur Curry are hybrids. Like,
Okay.
so that explains why they can do that.
Yeah.
Namor's considered like one of the first mutants.
Right. Yeah, he's a mutant, right? Yeah.
Yeah, falls into that category. Now, and we're getting short on time, I think.
Yeah.
But one of the last ones that I want to bring up, because I don't think it gets paid much attention to anymore, but has a long history of being insanely powerful, is the Silver Surfer.
Oh gosh, that's a great call. Yeah.
Yeah, like when we're talking about
Power cosmic.
Yeah, when you're talking about power sets,
Yeah.
you know, he was super popular as a character, I think, in like the 70s.
Yes.
And then, which is when, you know, I started reading comics. I think I read my first comic in the 70s at some point in time.
Yeah.
And then in the 80s a little bit, but then he died off. You didn't hear much of him. I feel like Norrin Rad. Oh, how many people know that his name is Norrin Rad? Lots of nerdiness here.
Right.
I feel like that story has just kind of faded. And maybe it faded because of what happened with Fantastic Four, because he was part of that canon.
Yeah. Now he did just, so I've been reading thanks to the Marvel Unlimited, I've been reading through the King in Black event.
Great storyline.
And I'm about 80% through, and they just broke through the Null's symbiote covering of the entire Earth because Silver Surfer was able to break through it.
Right. Yeah. I read that storyline as well, and that's one of the reasons, like, he's fresh in mind, I think, for me in this, and wondering, like, well, what happened to him? Like,
yeah. And I have not read his, like, the individual book, like, why is he now all black? I know there was a thing about that, but I haven't read it. Like, and are his powers different now? I honestly don't know, but yeah, he's out there as one of those top guys. Not like the physical strength, I don't think, but just the power set.
Just his power level. Yeah. It's like his power level, because he harnesses like the power cosmic.
Yeah.
Just makes him insanely powerful. But yeah, like his physical strength, not so much, but his power set is really high.
So I want one more entry into this similar idea there with Silver Surfer, and I'm going to put up, how about Green Lantern?
Yeah, thank you.
Power set wise.
Yeah.
Like, what can, I mean, limited only by the strength of his will, apparently, and creativity.
Right.
Like, there's not much he can't do.
Yeah,
or
and
she,
you know,
like any of them, I guess. Really, I'm
right. And I think it comes down to let's just use Hal Jordan for the sake of argument, because he's the longest running, and Jonathan Stewart was a fantastic version.
Yeah.
Kyle, I can't remember his last name.
Gardner?
No, that was Gardner, was the redheaded guy with the vest,
Oh yeah.
like the 80s punk rock looking dude.
Right.
No, Kyle something.
Yeah,
But
you're right.
anyway, so you've got all these other ones, and then the
Yeah.
new one is I don't remember her name, but
Yeah.
really cool that they got a female Green Lantern. But Hal Jordan to me is always the pinnacle of Green Lantern, right? He was always considered to be by the Owens like the best of all the Green Lanterns. It's what they always talk about. Like Hal Jordan is the greatest Green Lantern of all time.
Yeah.
His power set and his like physical strength, like he's just a dude.
Yeah.
Just a dude. But his power set doesn't run off of that. His power set runs off of, like, to your point, his strength of will and his creativity. We got to see what he would look like if he went bad when he was possessed by Parallax.
Yeah.
In that series. And it was terrifying. Like they had to figure out how to, contain Hal Jordan with the restrictor, kind of taken off of his powers. And it wasn't something they could easily do.
Yeah.
So I think that, that's a great one. I love.
There's a current book, DC versus vampires or something. And I've only read one of them, but in it, Hal Jordan has become a vampire and he's like going around taking out magicians, like practitioners of magic. And they're all just like, like, did you think I wouldn't know you were coming? He's like, I wanted you to know I was coming. And I'm just like taking you down. And then he like dispatches with Flash. Like he's just, there seems to be no limit to what he can do. And and I think an unhinged Hal Jordan is way up there on the terrifying scale.
Yeah, I would agree. And we've seen, like I said, there's case studies for that in the past, right? With the Parallax storyline and some others. So I agree with you wholeheartedly, like an unhinged Hal Jordan. Before we sign off, I'm not adding another one. I'm just bringing this up as a topic that we should discuss because there's a series coming and we're going to get a new movie, but we need to talk about Batman versus Moon Knight.
Ooh.
The Mark Spector versus Bruce Wayne. There's similarity. I've been reading through the Moon Knight series on Marvel Unlimited app. Hey, Marvel Unlimited, you could sponsor our podcast and send us. Yeah, I just want my
app. It's so great.
I have the app. We love you. But I've been reading through that to get caught up on Moon Knight as a character to be able to like really understand what's going to happen, like what to look for in the series. And there's parallels, but some very striking differences. And so it'd be fun to like contrast and compare those.
Shoot, that makes me think of, who we left off this list is Black Panther. When you're talking about power set.
I wouldn't put him in there.
No. Okay.
No, I don't. I love Black Panther, and we've talked about the tragic passing of but it like,
I mean, you're right, he's not in the same like cosmic power level, but
no, I put him like he and Cap are in that range together. Like him, Cap, Iron Man, like they're all augmented, but they're not like Hulk, Thor, Superman, Silver Surfer. Like,
okay, fair enough.
Not in those guys.
Yeah.
My 2 cents on that one.
Yeah.
Of course, agree to disagree, right? That's one of the great things about this whole thing is, and we've probably missed a ton.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Who have we missed? Who are the obvious? Well, who are obvious or unobvious ones that we've missed? Who are the obscure ones that we should know about? Because we got blinders and we only know what we know. Like who? Leave us a comment, send us an email, do something. And all the various channels that we're on, let us know. Well, who do you think is the strongest there is?
Yes, we want to hear all of your stuff. So yeah, comment, review, whatever it is. Like, let us know who we missed. I will say this: your D&D character you've been playing for 30 years doesn't count in the conversation.
I don't know, man. He's pretty powered up.
Just saying, like we're not going down that road yet. But
a guy was some sort of elf god. I don't really remember now.
I don't remember. We should at some point apply chaotic evil, chaotic neutral, and all those things to some of our favorite like movie and comic book characters, because I have thoughts.
As do I.
But in the meantime,
yes. Hey, everybody. Thanks for being on this journey with us, and reach out. Let us know what you think. And until next time.
bye, guys.
Bye.